Hey y'all, happy Freaky Deaky Friday. It's Dang Yonsei, and I wanted to talk to y'all about how I manifested one of my dream cars. The other three are still materializing, but at least I got one of them, so I did something right, okay?
Period.
So, like I said before, 2022 is when things started clicking for me, like summer of 2022. So, I ended up getting my dream car in December of 2022. So I'd say from the time that I stopped complaining and getting my shit together mentally up until December, that was maybe about like 5 or 6 months. So it didn't take too long. It didn't take as long as it took originally, because originally I wanted a new car after I got my first car. And I got my first car back in 2015 or 2016. Yeah, 2015 or 2016. So I've been wanting like one of the cars that I wanted ever since then, but I didn't get it up until 2022. So I remember maybe in like 2015, before I got my first car, I was looking for cars. I said, okay, I want something that has Bluetooth and I want something that has a backup camera. Like, this was before those features were standard in like a lot of basic cars like Hondas and Toyotas. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with those cars at all. But that was where my budget was at the time. And if I'm being honest, it was under there, because my first car, I paid $1,500 for it. That's it. It was a 2000 Volvo S40. I said, whatever I got to do to get up out of this car, I'm going to do it. So, did I get another car after the Volvo? Yes, I did. But was it my dream car? No, it was not. It was just whatever my family helped me get at the time, because they knew I didn't have the type of money to get the car that I actually wanted. So, they just got me something that could last me until I ended up getting the car that I wanted, all the way in 2022. So the car that I ended up getting, it was a 2010 Honda Accord, the two-door version. I was not driving the four-door version because I'm not a mom. I'm not a teacher. No offense if you have a four-door Honda Accord. I just don't like those because they give off mom or teacher vibes. Maybe because a lot of the teachers at the school I went to in North Carolina, they drove Hondas. It was either a Civic or an Accord or a CRV. So I just put Honda with teacher car in my mind. But like I said, no offense. If you have a Honda, no offense. I'm not calling you a teacher, because I literally just said I used to have a Honda and I'm not a teacher or a mom. So
Calm down.
don't get loud with me in the comments just for giving my personal opinion. Anyway, I had that car from 2017 to 2022. That's a really long time to be driving something that you really, really, really don't want to drive. So I was like, you know what? The next car that I end up getting, it's literally going to be the car that I want to get. So once my car loan was up, I think I paid off my car in May of 2022. I said, that's it. This car loan is done. I'm getting a car that I actually want. I'm getting something that I want to pay for, and it's going to be a decent payment. I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to end up in the car that I want. So from May to, I'm going to say like October, I was just looking for cars, and I had my mind set on getting a teal Jeep Wrangler. That's what I really, really wanted. I wanted a Jeep Wrangler. I didn't really care what year it was, just as long as it wasn't older than 2012. That was the oldest that I was willing to go. Now, if you know, like I know, Jeeps are very popular and they're not really that cheap. And a lot of people say that they have problems with them, especially when it comes to like the wobble of death and all that, whatever they want to call it. So I wasn't really feeling too good after reading some of the stuff that I read. So of course I got swayed to something else, which was my dream car. Now, I know that the car that I have right now was meant to be my car. It's literally my dream car because, one, I had put a version of that car on my Pinterest board like a year or two ago. I scripted about this car back in 2018, And before I got my first car, the Volvo, I was looking at this local dealership up here that was probably like a good 5-10 minutes away from my house. They've always had decent cars, but it was one car that caught my eye, and it was literally the car that I have right now. It's an Audi A7. When I first saw it, I think it was like in, like I said, I was looking for my first car, so I saw it in like 2014 or 2015, and I was just looking at it. I was like, wow, if I could just get this car, like, it's perfect. It's so cute. It has Bluetooth, it has a backup camera, it has nice leather seats, and it has like a nice little display screen that you can put in when you're driving, or you can just let it sit out so you can just look at it, whatever. Just go look it up. Y'all see what I'm talking about. I don't know.
Anyways, back to the conversation.
But anyways, I was looking at the pictures of that car back in 2015, and I was like, wow, if I could just get this car right here, this Audi A7, I don't care if it's a 2010, 2011, 2012, when I get it, that's what I want. That's going to be the car that I end up with. And I got it. So a little bit more detail on how I got it. Well, like I said, I put it on my Pinterest board maybe like a year or two before I got it. I scripted about it back in 2018, but during this time when I was scripting and putting it on my Pinterest boards, I didn't really too much understand manifesting. Like, I thought it was just, oh, have a positive attitude about what you want and then you'll end up getting it. I wasn't realizing about affirming or scripting. Like, I knew that I was doing something, but I didn't know exactly what I was doing, if that makes sense. Because like I explained in like my first or second video, the conscious manifesting, I didn't really get into that until like somewhere around 2018, but I still didn't understand how to do it 100%. So it's like I knew I was doing something, but I didn't understand why I was doing it or what the purpose was or exactly what was going to come from me doing that. So from the first time I saw that car, which was like 2014, 2015, up until 2022, I was literally stuck driving things that I didn't like because I hadn't got to the point where I had stopped complaining. So I complained about the Volvo so bad and ended up just giving out on me. I complained about the Honda literally from the day that I got it up until I think I went on my whole no complaining strike or complaint strike in summer of 2022. So like I said, after I stopped complaining and realized what I needed to do in order to get myself in another car, I ended up doing that. And then by December 2022, I had my dream car.
How?
So the way that I got it, like I said, I stopped complaining, first of all. Second of all, I was looking at like YouTubers, just random YouTubers, like, oh, how I manifested my new car, da da da. And I was just taking tips from them at the time. Like, they said script, they said visualize, they said affirm, and I was doing a combination of all that stuff. But I was doing it for a Jeep Wrangler. So that's where it kind of gets confusing. I was trying to get myself a Jeep Wrangler. I was thinking about Jeeps. I even found a song on Spotify specifically about a Jeep or somebody riding somewhere in a Jeep, and I used to listen to that on a loop while I was working because I was like, yeah, I'm going to be in my Jeep. Yeah, you're not going to be able to stop me. I'm going to be in my Jeep. I don't care. But when it came time to get a new car, I rode off the lot with an Audi. So
what happened to the original plot of the movie?
So I spent all this time visualizing, scripting, doing all this and all that for a Jeep, when subconsciously my brain was like, yeah, you want the Jeep, but is that really what you want? Is that really, really, really what you want? So I spent some time questioning that. And then the thing that really changed it for me was I actually took a Jeep on a test drive, and I found that the one that I test drove was very, very slow. Very, very slow. And me, I like to drive fast. I'm not even going to lie to you. I love driving fast. And that's another reason why I'm thankful that I got the car that I got instead of a Jeep. So it's like on the outside or in the 3D, I was like, yeah, I'm going for a Jeep. But like my higher self knew, like, girl, you're not getting a Jeep. Maybe later, but that's not what you want right now. So don't even, just shut up. Just shut up.
Hell no.
Now, what actually made me change my mind, I was in Chicago. I was in the airport, and these guys, they were walking next to me, and one guy was like, oh dude, where's your Jeep, da 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 da. And he was like, yeah, it's still in the shop. It's been in the shop for weeks. They don't know what's wrong with it. They're still waiting on a part, blah 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 blah. And after I heard him talking about all the issues he was going through with his Jeep, I was like, hold on, I'm not trying to go through this. And not to say I'm trying to let the 3D change my mind, but I have to be sensible about this because I'm the one that's footing the bill for my car repairs. I don't want anything that I'm going to have to constantly take to the shop. I don't want to be figuring out what's this, what's that, what's going on, $500 here, $10,000 here, whatever, just to end up buying a new car. So I said, you know what? Let me just switch gears and look for something else. After I started looking for something else, I came back around to the idea of getting an Audi. So I started looking, and it's like at the time when I was looking for it, I completely forgot I scripted. I completely forgot I was sitting in front of my computer years ago like, oh wow, if I could just get this car, I'd be so happy. I forgot all about that. It was just like I had a different set of eyes on, and I was looking for just any random Audi that I thought that I would like. So I start looking, and I was like, I don't know about this. I'm not really seeing anything that I want too much. But then here comes the A7. It was so cute. The dealership didn't have too many pictures of it up because it was like something that they had just got. And when I contacted the dealership, they were like, oh, well, we're still waiting on one of the parts to come in, so the car won't be available for you to come and see it for like another 2 weeks. And I was like, well, that's fine, because the car was actually in the same city that my dad lives in North Carolina. So that was like, is that the universe trying to give me a sign that this is really going to be my car? Like, this is too much of a coincidence, because my dad lives near a major city in North Carolina, but the place that he actually lives, I had never heard of it until he moved there. So I said, this is too much of a coincidence. What the heck is going on?
Is it a coincidence? I ask you, is it a coincidence?
So I called him and I said, hey, I see this car. Whenever they tell me I can come and look at it, can you go look at it? And he's like, yeah. So then the dealership started giving us the runaround. I thought that I wasn't going to get it. It was all these like, oh yeah, well, we have some more pictures, or no, we don't have any pictures, or oh, I'll go send you a couple of pictures, da 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 da. I kept having to wait for it. I kept asking for like an ETA of when the car would be ready for somebody to come and physically see it, and they could never give me a straight answer. So I got discouraged. I was like, wow, am I gonna have to go back and revisit the idea of a Jeep again, or am I just gonna have to go to a different dealership? So I started looking at different dealerships. None of the A7s that I seen anywhere else were suitable, because either one, they were outside of my price range, or two, the places were too far away for me to drive, or three, there were like repairs that the cars needed. Like there was even one that I seen that was reported as stolen that a dealership was selling, and I was like, yeah, I'm staying far away from that. So I kind of got put in a waiting period. And that drove me so crazy because, like I said, I'm an Aries. I'm impatient. I don't even know what the word patience means. Like, I'm not even sure if I know how to spell that. Me and patience don't get along. We don't have nothing to do with each other. No.
You out your fucking mind.
So, when I was in my Honda, there was one day I was about to go. I think I was about to go and get myself something to eat. And I turned my car on and I was like, man, I'm so tired of not having a backup camera. I'm so tired of having to plug my phone up to an aux cord to hear my music. I'm so tired of da 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 da. So I just say, you know what? I'm fed up. I'm done with this. And I guess I kind of went into a rampage because I was like really angry. I was very angry. I was screaming. I was cursing. I was like, I don't care. I'm getting a new car. I don't care what anybody says. I deserve to have a new car. Like, I just kept on going on and on and on and on. And I was doing this while I was driving. I was doing this for probably like a good 15 minutes. I was just cussing my Honda out. I was cussing it out like it did something to me personally.
Bitch, hoe.
And now that I look back at it, that car did not deserve that. So whoever has my Honda, if the car can hear this, I just want to say I apologize. But when I also look back at it, I realized I wasn't angry. I was just transmuting energy. Because another thing I realized was that I can manifest really, really good whenever I'm angry. So if somebody makes me upset, or if I'm just not feeling the situation and it brings me to a point where I start complaining and it brings all that out of me, I'm not going to complain about the situation. I'm just going to say my affirmations or say that this stuff is changing right now, because that's what happened with my car. Because believe it or not, after I had a little whole cuss out session, I think maybe like 2 or 3 days after that happened, I reached out to the dealership again. And I said, hey, what's going on? You know, I need to get another car. And they were like, you know what? Everything's just fine. We literally just put the part on it today. We're going to send you some updated pictures. And if you want to get it by the end of this week, you can come and get it by the end of this week. And I was like, okay, well, I'm in Pennsylvania and you guys are in North Carolina. So anything that I can do over the phone or through the internet, let's go ahead and do it. They let me fill out the application for financing and I paid the down payment before I even got there. So literally all I had to do was drive to North Carolina, sign my name on the line, and drive the car off the lot. And that's exactly what I did.
I love it when they call me Big Papa, showstopper. Okay.
So I think that happened on like Wednesday. Friday rolls around and I let them know like, hey, I'm on my way. I'm about to come pick up the car and I'm just going to turn back around and head back to PA. And they were like, okay, cool, whatever. Just let us know when you're here. Da-da-da-da. I didn't get to North Carolina until like 7 or 8 o'clock and they were already closed. But they were like, oh, okay, well, we're closed, so we can't sell you the car, but you can come by and you can look at it. And I was like, why would I come by and look at it? I just want to take it home, you know? But I did it anyway. I drove the whole 8 hours. I stopped at the dealership and it was dark outside when I got there. It was probably like 8, 9 o'clock at night. But when I saw the car, it was so beautiful. Like, they let me turn it on. They let me sit inside of it. I was so happy because I was like, so you mean to tell me all I have to do tomorrow is just come here and sign the papers and then I'm good to go? And they were like, that's all you have to do. You just have to sign the paper and then we have to change your tags out since you're keeping this tag. And then everything else, you'll just have to do it when you get to the DMV or PennDOT whenever you get back to PA. And I was like, I can't believe this. Like, I'm really about to drive off the lot with my dream car. I can't believe this. And then it wasn't until I had got back home, I realized like, wow, this is the same car that I wrote about back in 2018. This is the same car that I was looking at on the internet and I said, if I could just have this car, I would be complete. This is the same car that I saw some guy driving and I was so enamored by it. I said I had to have one of those because that did happen. Like, I was at Sheetz and I saw this guy, he pulled up in a white one, him and his girlfriend hopped out and I was like, oh my gosh, that car is so beautiful. Like, it was so pretty to the point where I was this close to hopping out of my Honda and asking that man like, hey, what kind of car is that? That car is so nice. Da, da, da. But I did not want him to get startled. I didn't want him to be like, oh, back up, girl. So I was just looking at his car while I was pumping my gas. I was like, wow, I want that car. And now today I have that car and it's still just so crazy. Like, every time I get into it, I cannot believe that I actually have the car that I wanted this whole time. So long story short, I guess you can say that, I mean, I did script for it once. I was affirming for a Jeep the whole time, but what really did it was me going on my little rampage in my car saying like stuff has to change right now. I think that that right there is what really did it for me. And also, to go back to an earlier video I posted when I referenced Bruce Almighty, I was copying what he did in the movie whenever he got his new car. If you've never seen that movie before, which you need to go watch it, it's on the Peacock app right now as we speak. Go watch it.
Fire.
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 Fire. Fire.
I did exactly what he did in the scene where he started, realizing he was God and he was the one that could do whatever he wanted. Like he pulled the moon down to his girlfriend for their date. He ended up giving himself a new wardrobe. He saw himself walking past a building and there was a mannequin in the building and it had a nice outfit on, so he just imagined himself in that outfit. And when it got to the car scene, he was driving an old beat up BMW and he imagined himself as driving the luxury sports car that he was driving in the movie. So that's exactly what I did. After I went on my little rampage about the Honda, like, oh, I hate this car, I'm getting my new car, I don't care, things are going to change right now. After I went on my little rampage, I would like to say for maybe like the next 2 or 3 days while I was waiting to hear back from the dealership, I would get in my car and I would just pretend. I'm like, Honda, who's in a Honda? Girl, I'm not in no Honda. I'm in an Audi. Look at this. Vroom, vroom. And then it got to the point where like even when I was backing up, of course I was still using my rear view and my side mirrors, but I would just pretend like, oh, look at the backup camera, I hear the beeps, like when you're getting close to something. I heard those beeps in my head. Of course they weren't the same exact beeps as what the Audi did or does in real life, because I had never heard that sound before. So I couldn't say, oh, this is what it sounds like. This is exactly. So just to let you know, it doesn't have to be the exact same. Even if you've never seen it or never heard it or never felt it, just try to get as close to what you think it's going to be like in real life. That's literally what I did. Every time I would go somewhere in those 2 or 3 days, I imagined that I had my Audi. I drove like a person that drives a luxury car would drive, or how I imagined them to drive. Like I was being careful driving over potholes or driving around potholes. I was driving the speed limit. Now, do I still do that in my Audi current day?
Oh, girl, please, bitch, ho.
But the point is, instead of like scripting and whatever, I hadn't got into the robotic affirming at this point. All I did literally was pretend that I had the car that I wanted. And I don't even know if I could call it pretending. So I'll just say I imagined myself having it. Like it wasn't a crystal clear vision either. It was just like, oh yeah, I have an Audi, whatever. I got this, I got that. It does this, it does that. It drives fast. It gets me here, it gets me there. And I was still like, okay, well, I'm grateful for the Honda. I got around my whole, oh, I hate this car, I just stopped complaining about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm grateful that I have something to get me from point A to point B, because I could be walking or I could still be taking the funky ass bus. And nobody wants to do that. I'm so sorry if you have to do that, but I was just grateful that I didn't have to take the bus, because I had enough of that, okay? So I was just grateful for what I had. I stopped complaining, and whenever I got in my car, I just imagined myself having the car that I actually wanted. So I say that to say, if you're somebody who is currently looking to get a new car, try it. Try to visualize. Even if you're not in the car or if you don't have a car yet, try to visualize what it might feel like if you were in the car that you actually wanted. If you want a Benz and you have a car right now, say you're driving a Honda. Even if you gotta go and get a sheet of paper and draw the Benz or the Mercedes logo on it and stick it on your horn over your current car symbol, do that. Because I even did that at one point in time. I definitely did that at one point in time. Did it contribute to me actually getting what the car that I wanted? Probably not, because I didn't even draw an Audi symbol. The symbol that I drew back then, I think it was a BMW, which is next on the list. But the thing that helped me the most was probably just the visualizing or the pretending that I had the car that I wanted. Because like I said, I don't mind robotically affirming, like especially now, it's a lot easier for me to do it while I'm doing other things. But I wasn't really doing it back then because I was still like, oh, well, I don't want to affirm all day, whatever. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to affirm all day, or if you are the type of person to where you feel like visualization helps you a little bit better, just try to visualize that. Just do that. But the main thing, whenever I did all of that stuff, like, oh, I'm driving this car is lovely, whatever, while I was still in my current car, even though I knew in the 3D I wasn't driving an Audi, I still knew in my head, like, I'm driving it. This is what it's going to be like when I actually do start driving it in the 3D. So I'm not going to think against it. I'm not going to say, like, oh, I'm driving my dream car, and then turn around and be like, I don't know when I'm going to get this car. I don't know how it's going to work out, blah, 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 blah. I wasn't doing that. All I did was for those 2 or 3 days, every time I got in my car, I was like, hey, this is the car that I want. I pretended that I was connecting my car to the Bluetooth. Like, I was doing some crazy stuff. But it's not so crazy because obviously it worked. But yeah, I am intending that this video helps you. You will be driving your new car by the end of this year. You will have the car that you actually want, and you will be able to afford it, and nobody will be able to take it away from you regardless of what they say, because if you don't want it to happen, it's not gonna happen. So with that being said, I'm gonna go back to get to working on my projects. This is one of the boxes that I actually finished. It's a tarot card box. It has velvet lining on the bottom and on the inside. So if you want one of these, the link is going to be in the description. So I'm going to get back to work, and I will see you guys next Freaky Friday.
TF, ... I'm out this bitch.
They told me to be good tonight.